The blackness of space stretched endlessly before the human exploration ship Aurora. Commander Rian stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing blue planet ahead. It was the home of the Valen, humanity's closest allies. But tonight, there was something wrong. "There's no greeting signal," reported Ensign Tala, her voice uneasy. "No radio chatter, no traffic in orbit." Commander Rian frowned. "That's impossible. The Valen's orbit station is always active." Dr. Mira, the science officer, adjusted her scanner. "I'm not detecting power signatures from the surface either. No city lights. It's like the planet is dead." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Just 2 days ago, the Valen sent a short distress call. "If you value life, do not come here." The message had ended in static. Lieutenant Cade, the weapons officer, leaned against the console. "If they didn't want us here, maybe we should have listened." Rian's jaw tightened. "They were our friends. We don't leave friends behind." He turned toward the helm. "Take us down. Slow approach." The Aurora entered the atmosphere, breaking through silver clouds. Below them, they saw shining towers and curved streets of Valen cities, but no movement, no lights. It was like a perfect photograph of life, frozen in time. When they landed in the capital's main square, the silence was overwhelming. Even the wind seemed absent. "Stay alert," Rian ordered as the crew stepped out. The streets were lined with tall white buildings, doors standing open. A child's toy lay in the middle of the road, untouched. Tables inside restaurants still had plates of food. But there was no one. "This isn't right," whispered Tala. "Where did everyone go?" Dr. Mira stopped in front of a wall. Her gloved hand traced long, deep claw marks that tore through the stone. "These aren't from any Valen species." Cade scanned the shadows. "Feels like something's watching us." A faint hum echoed in the air, deep, almost like the vibration of a giant machine. It seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Suddenly, movement. In the corner of Rian's vision, something darted across an alley, too fast to see clearly. He raised his rifle. "Hold position." But nothing emerged. The crew moved cautiously toward the city center. They were about to turn back when a faint sound came from a nearby cellar, the sound of breathing. Rian signaled for silence and slowly opened the cellar door. Inside, huddled in the darkness, was a Valen male. His skin was pale, his eyes wide with terror. "Please," the alien whispered. "Close it. Close the door. They will hear us." Mira knelt beside him. "We're here to help. What happened here?" The Valen trembled. "They came from the dark, from beyond the stars. Not ships, shadows. They took the voices, took the light." His voice cracked. "They took everything." "Who?" Rian pressed. "They have no name," the Valen said, curling into himself. "We called them the others. You can't fight them. You can't see them. You only feel them when it's too late." Cade exchanged a worried look with Myra. "Great, invisible monsters. That's just what I needed today." The Valen grabbed Rian's arm with desperate strength. "You shouldn't have come. They know you are here now." The low hum grew louder. This time, it seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Then, from somewhere in the streets, came a slow tapping sound. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Then again, Rian motioned for the crew to move. "We're going back to the ship." They stepped out into the open square, and the tapping stopped. The silence was worse than the sound. Suddenly, Tala gasped. "Where's Cade?" They turned. The weapons officer was gone. "Cade!" Rian shouted. His voice echoed, unanswered. They found him moments later, lying on the ground. His eyes were wide open, mouth frozen mid-breath. No wounds, no blood. But his expression was pure terror. Myra's scanner flickered wildly. "Something's here. Moving around us." The air shimmered just for a second, and Rian saw a tall, armored shape with two burning red eyes before it vanished again. "They're real," Mira whispered Dot from the shadows. A whisper slid through the air like cold wind. It wasn't in any language they knew, but the meaning was clear. Run. The crew carried Cade's body back toward the Aurora, but the path seemed to twist. Streets they had walked before were suddenly unfamiliar. The hum followed them, growing faster. The Valen survivor limped beside Rian. They feed on fear. They drink it. The more you fear, the stronger they become. Rian tightened his grip on his rifle. Then let's give them something else to feed on. When they reached the ship's landing site, 3 of the red-eyed creatures were waiting. Tall, thin, and wrong in every way. Their shapes seemed to bend the light. The crew opened fire, but the bullets passed through the air like water. "They're not here physically," Mira said quickly. "They're projecting themselves from somewhere else," Rian thought fast. "Tala, play the battle drums, loud." The ship's speakers blasted heavy, pounding rhythms, Earth war chants from centuries past. The air vibrated with sound. The creatures faltered, their shapes flickering. "They hate it," the Valen said. One by one, the creatures dissolved into nothing, their hum fading into silence. The survivor looked at Rian. "You can't kill them, only drive them away, for now." Rian nodded grimly. "Then we warn Earth, we prepare." The Aurora lifted off, breaking through the clouds. The Valen sat in the medbay, staring at nothing. Dot in the cargo hold, unseen by the crew. A pair of red eyes slowly opened in the shadows. Commander Rian stood at the ship's airlock, watching as the crew prepared to step back onto the Valen planet. The memory of their last escape still burned in their minds, the red-eyed shadows lurking in the darkness. But this time they needed answers. Dr. Mira checked her scanner nervously. "We're going back, but we don't know what we'll find." Lieutenant Cade tightened his grip on his rifle. "Whatever it is, we're ready." The doors hissed open, and the cold, silent air of the abandoned city greeted them. This time, the streets felt even more eerie. The wind whispered through broken windows, and distant shadows moved just beyond sight. "Look there," Tala whispered, pointing at a street corner. "See those marks?" Rian moved closer. Deep claw marks scraped across the stone wall, jagged and fresh. Those weren't here before. Mira scanned the area. "This energy signature, it's faint, but alive. Something is here." Suddenly, a soft sound came from the nearby market square, a scraping, like nails on metal. "Stay sharp," Rian ordered, raising his rifle. The crew moved quietly toward the sound, hearts pounding. Around a corner, they found overturned carts and scattered fruit, but no sign of life. "Where is everyone?" Mira asked, voice shaking. Cade crouched down, examining the ground. "Look at these footprints. They're huge, and they don't match any Valen species." Tala shivered. "This place feels wrong." As they moved deeper, a faint noise caught their attention, a child's laughter, soft and broken. "Impossible," Rian muttered. "There shouldn't be children here." They followed the sound to an open doorway. Inside, a small room lay. In ruin, but on the floor, a small holographic device played the recorded laughter over and over. Mira sighed. A trap. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. The crew's flashlights pierced the darkness, but shadows seemed to creep closer. "Cade, back me up," Rian said. From the shadows, a sudden movement. Something darted past, too fast to see clearly. "Got something." Cade fired, but his shots hit only air. Myra's scanner beeped wildly. "They're here, close," Rian shouted. "Fall back." As they ran through the empty streets, strange whispers filled their ears, words they couldn't understand but that sent chills down their spines. The survivor from before, the Valen, appeared suddenly. "They watch, they hunt, you can't hide." Rian grabbed the alien's shoulder. "Tell me how to fight them." The Valen shook his head. You can't fight what you can't see, only survive. Just then, the crew found a small shelter, an abandoned building with thick walls. They barricaded the door and caught their breath. Mira scanned the room. This is their hunting ground. They want us scared, Rian nodded. Then we won't give them fear. The whispers grew louder outside. The crew linked hands, steadying their nerves. Outside, a dark shape slid across the street, a giant shadow with glowing red eyes that pierced the darkness. Tala gasped. They're circling us. Rian steadied his breath. Hold your ground. We're not running. Suddenly, the walls shook with a low rumble. Dust fell from the ceiling. We're not alone, Myra said, voice trembling. The survivor whispered. They remember. The old gods they hunger. With no clear way out, the crew prepared for what would come next. Rian looked at his team. We fight together. No one dies alone. The shadows outside gathered, waiting. The crew of the Aurora sat in the dim light of the shelter, breaths heavy and eyes darting to every shadow. Outside, the silence pressed against the thick walls like a living thing. Commander Rian stared at the Valen survivor they had brought. With them, the alien's pale face was drawn tight with fear and pain. Tell us, Rian said quietly, what happened here? Why is your world like this? The Valen swallowed hard and looked around as if afraid the shadows might hear him. It began with whispers, he said, voice trembling. At first, we thought it was a curse or madness, but soon we saw something. Myra leaned forward. What did you see? Darkness that moved on its own, the survivor whispered. Not alive, not dead. They came at night, silent and invisible to most. They took the strong, the brave, leaving only fear. Cade clenched his fists. How did your people fight them? The Valen shook his head slowly. We did not fight. We prayed, begged for mercy. But they do not answer prayers. They feed on fear and silence. Tala's eyes widened. Feed on fear? Yes, the survivor said. The more afraid we were, the closer they came. Our warriors fell one by one. Those who resisted vanished without a trace. Rian's voice was hard. Then how did you survive? The Valen looked away. I ran. Hid in the shadows they could not reach. But now they know you are here, and they hunt you. Suddenly, a loud thud shook the shelter's door. The crew tensed, rifles ready. They want in, Rian said, voice steady. Prepare yourselves. The thuds grew faster, louder, like something. Pounding with heavy hands, Mira scanned the air. Their energy is close stronger than before. Why don't they come inside? Tala asked. They cannot cross certain thresholds, the Valen said. They respect barriers of light and sound. Rian's eyes narrowed. Then we use that. We fight back. The pounding stopped abruptly. Silence fell again, thick and suffocating. From the darkness came a new sound, a low growl. Not fully heard but felt deep in the bones. Cade gritted his teeth. They're testing us. The survivor shivered. You must be ready. They will try to break your minds before they touch your bodies. Rian nodded. We will stand together. No fear. Suddenly, the shelter's power flickered. Lights dimmed, then died. Blackout, Mira said quickly. They want us blind. In the pitch dark, the crew linked hands, breaths slow and steady. The growls circled them, unseen but real. Then, in the dark, the survivor whispered, I have one last warning. There is a place on this planet, deep below the cities, where the truth sleeps. You must find it, or we all die. Rian swallowed. Where is this place? The Valen's voice was barely audible. The Archive of Shadows. It holds what you need to stop them. Tala's voice was firm. Then we go there. Together. The shelter doors burst open, suddenly, but a wall of light from the ship's emergency lamps pushed the darkness back. The creatures hissed and retreated into the shadows, their red eyes glowing briefly before vanishing. Rian raised his rifle. This fight is just beginning. The survivor looked at the humans with a faint hope. Maybe you will end this nightmare. The crew moved out into the night, the Valen survivor leading the way toward the unknown depths beneath. The city. The crew moved cautiously through the dark streets, following the Valen survivor's lead. Their footsteps echoed softly, but every sound seemed too loud in the heavy silence. Commander Rian's heart beat faster with each step. "Keep your eyes open," he whispered. They could be anywhere. Tala held her rifle tight, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "I don't like this place." Mira scanned the air with her device. "There's a strange energy around us, almost like something is hiding." Suddenly, the survivor stopped and pointed ahead. "We're close to the entrance of the Archive of Shadows," Rian nodded. "Good. Let's get inside before anything finds us." As they approached a large metal door, Cade checked his weapons. "I swear, if something jumps out now, I'm not holding back." The survivor frowned. "You don't understand. The danger isn't just outside." Rian pushed the heavy door open. Darkness swallowed them. Inside, the air was cold and damp. The walls hummed with a low vibration. "Stay together," Rian ordered. "We don't know what's waiting." The team advanced through twisting tunnels, the light from their helmets casting long shadows. Suddenly, a faint sound, a soft scratching came from the darkness ahead. Tala froze. "Did you hear that?" Before anyone could answer, a sharp scream pierced the silence. "Cade!" Mira shouted. They ran toward the sound, only to find Cade on the floor, eyes wide with terror. "What happened?" Rian asked, kneeling beside him. Cade gasped. "Something touched me. I didn't see it, but it was close." The survivor looked pale. "They are near. You cannot trust the darkness." The crew moved faster, but the tunnels seemed to twist and turn endlessly. Suddenly, without warning, a cold force slammed into Rian, knocking him against the wall. He struggled to see through the haze as a dark shape lunged from the shadows. "Rian!" Tala yelled, firing her rifle blindly. The creature vanished, leaving only a cold chill behind. Mira helped Rian up. "You okay?" Rian nodded, but his eyes were fierce. "We need to get out of here, now." As they hurried back, more attacks came, quick, unseen strikes that left no marks but filled their minds with dread. The survivor whispered, "They feed on fear. The more afraid you are, the stronger they become." Rian clenched his fists. "Then we stopped fearing." Near the tunnel's exit, a creature appeared fully for the first time, a tall figure with glowing red eyes and armor that seemed made of shadows. "Get ready," Rian shouted. They fired together, but the creature flickered like a ghost and vanished. The survivor gasped. "They're not physical. They exist between worlds." Rian stared into the dark tunnel. This fight is far from over. The team finally escaped to the surface, breathless and shaken. Tala looked at Rian. "What?" "Now?" Rian's voice was steady. "We prepare. We learn how to fight what we cannot see." The shadows waited. The Aurora crew gathered in the ship's command room, tension hanging thick in the air. Commander Rian stared at the blinking radar screen, tracking strange signals moving silently around the ship. "They're close," Mira said softly. "Closer than ever before." Cade paced, fingers twitching on his rifle. "I say we hunt them down. No more running." Rian shook his head. "We don't know what we're dealing with. Charging in blind will get us killed." Tala pointed to the sensors. "Look here. They're responding to heat and sound." Mira's eyes lit up. "Maybe we can use that. Set a trap." Rian considered this. "Good. We'll use heat sensors and sound devices as bait." The crew moved quickly, placing sensors around the ship's perimeter and setting up loudspeakers. Playing recorded noises, footsteps, human voices, and mechanical sounds. Hours passed in silence. The crew waited, muscles tensed. Suddenly, the sensors beeped loudly. Shadows flickered outside the ship's windows. "They're coming," Tala whispered. Rian gripped his rifle. Hold positions. From the darkness, tall figures appeared thin. Armored creatures with glowing red eyes that pierced the night. They moved smoothly, their shapes shifting like smoke. Cade fired, but the bullets passed through them as if they were ghosts. They're not solid, Mira said quickly. They exist between dimensions. The creatures circled the sensors, confused by the sounds and heat signals. They're hunting, but this trap is confusing them, Myra said. Rian smiled grimly. Good, keep the noise up. The creatures hissed and flickered, unable to attack directly. Suddenly, one creature lunged toward a sensor and vanished. Tala gasped. They're avoiding the noise, Mira nodded. They feed on silence and fear. Noise weakens them. Rian turned to his team. Then we make noise. Constant noise. The crew intensified the sounds, drums, alarms, chants all echoing through the ship's speakers. The creatures writhed, flickering in pain. But then, the trap snapped. The lights in the command room flickered and died. The red eyes glowed brighter. In the dark, Rian shouted, "Backup power now." In the blackness, a creature lunged at Cade. "Get off him." Tala screamed, firing blindly. The creature vanished, leaving Cade gasping for breath. The emergency lights flickered on, revealing the crew battered but alive. Myra's voice was steady. "They're stronger than before. We can only slow them." "Down," Rian nodded. "Then we prepare." This trap was only the first step. Outside, the creatures retreated into the shadows, waiting for their next chance. The Aurora hovered silently above the dark planet, its crew tense and ready. Commander Rian looked around at his team, their faces set with determination. The red-eyed creatures had chased them from the shadows, but now it was time to fight. "Back. We can't run anymore," Rian said firmly. "This ends here." Tala adjusted the speakers strapped to the ship's hull. "The noise worked last time. They hate sound. We'll use that to our advantage," Mira nodded. "I've upgraded the sound system. It can broadcast heavy battle drums and human war chants. It should confuse and weaken them." Cade loaded his rifle, eyes sharp. "Let's make some noise they'll never forget." As night fell, the ship's speakers filled the air with deep, rhythmic drum beats. The sound echoed across the empty cities below, shaking the silent streets. The creatures moved in the darkness, their red eyes flickering with confusion. "They're reacting," Mira whispered, watching the monitors. Rian smiled grimly. "Keep it loud. They feed on silence and fear. Tonight they'll get neither." Suddenly, shadows began to gather near the ship shapes flickering, trying to hide from the sound. One creature stepped forward, its form flickering like a flame in the wind. Its eyes burned brighter, but it hesitated. "They're weakening," Tala said, voice filled with hope. But the creatures were cunning. They tried to circle the ship, looking for quiet spots to attack. Rian saw one dart behind a building, silent and fast. "Don't let them find silence," he ordered. The crew increased the volume, layering chants and war cries over the drums. The creatures shrieked in frustration, their forms wavering and breaking apart. Cade fired into the shadows, but his bullets passed through them harmlessly. "They're not solid," Mira reminded the team. "But the sound makes them lose strength." Rian took a deep breath. "Then we keep the pressure on." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath the ship. A deep growl rose from the darkness. "They're trying to break us," Tala said, gripping her rifle tighter. The red-eyed creatures launched a sudden, fierce attack. Shapes rushed forward, swirling like smoke, but striking with the force of iron. The crew fought back with lights and loud noise, never stopping the battle chants. Myra's scanner beeped wildly. "They're retreating, but only for now." Rian stood tall. "We've shown them we won't be easy prey." The creatures melted back into the darkness, but their red eyes glowed defiantly from the shadows. Tala looked at Rian. "What's next?" "We prepare for their return," Rian said. "We learn more. We fight smarter, Mira smiled faintly. We may not be able to kill them, but we can survive, we can win. The drumbeats continued, strong and steady, echoing across the empty world. And for the first time in a long while, hope returned to the crew of the Aurora. The Aurora rested quietly on the planet's surface, but inside the ship, tension was thicker than ever. Commander Rian and his crew gathered around the small holographic table where the Valen survivors sat, eyes heavy with secrets. We've fought shadows and whispers, Rian said, voice low. But now I need the truth. What are these creatures? Where do they come from? The Valen hesitated, then sighed deeply. They were once gods to my people. Mira looked up, surprised. Gods, you mean worship? The survivor nodded. Long ago, the Valen believed in powerful spirits from the dark, the others who ruled the skies and shadows. We built temples for them and gave them gifts, Rian frowned. But now they hunt you? Yes, the Valen said. When? We stopped worshipping, they became angry, they changed. No longer gods, but monsters. Cage shook his head. That sounds like an old myth. The survivor's voice was steady. It's real. I've seen what they can do. Mira brought up scans from the planet's deep tunnels. Look at this. Energy signatures like nothing I've ever seen. These others exist between dimensions. They can appear and vanish at will. Rian leaned forward. Why did the Valen hide? Why no fight? The survivor's eyes darkened. Because fighting them only made them stronger. They feed on fear and silence. Resistance is pain. Tala's voice was firm. Then how do we stop them? The Valen's gaze locked on Rian. There's a place, the Council's secret vault. It holds knowledge that can help. But the Council betrayed my people. They hid the truth. Rian's jaw tightened. We need that knowledge. Mira looked at the survivor. Where is this vault? It's beneath the capital city, the Valen said. Hidden deep, protected by old magic and machines. We must go there, Rian nodded. Then that's where we're headed. The crew prepared to descend into the ancient vault, their nerves tight with anticipation. Inside the tunnels, shadows flickered, but the crew pressed forward. Finally, they reached a massive door etched with strange symbols. Mira scanned it carefully. This is it, she said. Ancient technology, but still powered. Rian touched the door, and it slowly opened, revealing a room filled with glowing crystals and old machines humming softly. At the center, a holographic star map flickered to life, showing portals and strange paths through space. The survivor gasped. This is the Council's secret. They knew the others came from another galaxy. They planned to use the Valen as shields. Mira's eyes widened. They sacrificed your people? The Valen nodded sadly. To save themselves. Rian's voice was cold. Then we fight not just for survival, but for justice. Suddenly, alarms blared. The creatures were closing in. Grab what you can, Rian ordered. We leave now. As they fled, the crew carried with them not only new knowledge but a burning resolve. The fight was no longer just about escape. It was about ending a betrayal and facing a terror that threatened all worlds. The Aurora shook violently as it prepared to leave the planet behind. Commander Rian stood at the bridge, eyes scanning the starfield, but his mind was heavy with the weight of what they had learned. The secret vault, the betrayal of the Council, and the shadow creatures, they were all connected. We have what we came for, Myra said softly. But it's not enough. They'll follow us, Rian nodded. They always do. The crew worked quickly, uploading the stolen data and preparing to send a message back to Earth. The red-eyed creatures had grown more aggressive, striking in waves and forcing the humans to stay alert every second. Commander, Tala called out. There's movement in the cargo hold. Rian's heart sank. Again? They rushed to the hold, weapons ready. The emergency lights flickered as shadows twisted between crates. From the darkness, a pair of glowing red eyes stared back. It's one of them, Cade whispered, voice tense. The creature lunged suddenly, but Rian fired a pulse that forced it back. We can't let them reach Earth, Rian said, breathing hard. Not like this. Mira looked at the data. The Council's plan. It was to hide this threat forever, but now everyone will know. Rian stared at the communication console. Then it's time to warn them. He activated the ship's long-range transmitter and recorded a message, his voice steady but urgent. To all of humanity, this is Commander Rian of the Aurora. We stand with the Valen and have uncovered a terror beyond any we imagined. Shadow creatures from another galaxy have destroyed our allies and now hunt us. They feed on fear and silence, striking unseen. Our council betrayed the truth, hoping to protect themselves. But we must prepare. This darkness is coming for Earth. Fight fear with courage. Fight silence with sound. Stand strong, or we all fall. He sent the message, knowing it might be the last warning Earth ever received. The ship jolted again as more creatures tried to breach their defenses. We can't hold them much longer, Mira said. Rian squared his shoulders. Then we make our stand here, in space. We fight until the last breath. As alarms blared and the ship's hull shook, Rian looked at his crew. We're not just survivors, he said. We are the shield between this terror and our home. The Aurora charged into the dark unknown, carrying hope, fear, and a final message, one that could change the fate of humanity forever.